Hello everyone. If you are looking to learn technology as a product manager, then this is a must-watch masterclass for you. So this is a recording from one of the recent sessions that we have conducted with about 500 people. And in this class, we are going to talk about four important things. The first is, why is the understanding of tech important for you as a product manager or an aspiring product manager? Then we talk about a very fundamental thing called as the three-tier architecture on which multiple popular apps are built. Then we are going to talk about tech stacks, and then we are going to talk about how, as a product manager, you can better work with developers. And the fourth thing that we talk about was what are the kind of questions that you should expect in your tech rounds in a product management interview. And all the resources, all the vocabulary, and all the questions I have also mentioned in the resource that is mentioned in the description. So go ahead, watch the full video, leave your comments, and do not forget to download all the resources that are mentioned in the description. Go ahead, watch the video. This is the agenda for today's session. Okay. In today's session, we are going to talk about four important things. And everyone, please understand that this is going to be a power pack session. So you need to make sure that your 100% focus is in the class. If you want to make sure that you are 100% focused in the class, please try to avoid using the mobile phone if you are watching this on a laptop, and take a notebook along with you so that you can go ahead and take the notes. This is the agenda for the session. So these are the four things that we are going to cover. Cool. I think we have almost 500 people in the chat now. Cool. Great, guys. So now let us go ahead. Please give all of your focus on the screen now. This is important. Okay. Now to answer the first question, why as a product manager do you need to understand technology? Okay. Understand, as a product manager, you might never have to code. There are always engineers or developers who are much more educated than you in order to code, in order to, let's say, build any kind of system. However, your company still expects you to understand some part of tech. Okay, so why do PM needs to understand technology when they do not have to code? Okay, so the answer is in 3 points. The number one point is, you need to understand technology as a product manager because you need to understand how your product and ecosystem works. If you are a product manager who's trying to build a product from scratch, even if you are getting the help from a developer or an engineer, you still need to understand what are the basic building blocks of your product. You might never have to code, but you should understand how different things are integrated with each other so that you are able to understand what you can improve and give a better experience to your users. Okay, so that is the first reason: understand how their product and ecosystem works. Okay, to help you understand further, for example, you are a product manager at booking.com or Paytm or kayak.com or any websites where you can go ahead and book your tickets for the flights. Okay, this is what the interface looks like, right? So let's say I want to travel from Pune to Delhi, both are in India. And when I search, I get these flights. This is from Indigo, this is from Air Asia, this is from some other company, this is from some other company. Okay, and I'm getting all the results from multiple company, and these are the travel rates, flight tickets. Okay, now if you understand carefully, what is happening here is that booking.com is just an interface. All the rates and the availability of flight is coming from their respective organizations. Let's say Indigo is showing their own flights, SpiceJet is providing their own flights, Lufthansa have their own flight, and everyone is curated at booking.com. And then the booking.com is giving you this particular interface to make sure that you are able to book your slot. You are the user. Okay. So understand this connection, the connection between two different parties. Booking.com is a different party. Indigo, SpiceJet, and Lufthansa is a different party. Is applicable because there is something called as API, also known as Application Programming Interface. Because of this technology, because of this concept, different kind of websites are able to each other and they are able to interact with each other. So Indigo, SpiceJet, Lufthansa has given their API to Booking.com. Booking.com does a query on these websites based on the API and based on your query, and then they show you the results. So if you are a product manager at booking.com, or if you are a product manager at Paytm or any of the booking websites, and if you do not know how the application programming interfaces work, you will not be able to operate as a product manager. Right? So every product has some fundamental building blocks in terms of technology. And if you don't know them, it is almost impossible for you to operate better as a product manager. Okay? Everyone tell me yes or no in the chat if you are able to understand this. A quick yes or no, everyone. Very good. Very good. So this was very basic, right? Now, the other reason is that if you are a PM who needs to operate well, you need to always empathize with engineers to empower them. Understand? You cannot operate without engineers as a product manager, because who is going to convert your ideas or your company's ideas into products? You need code, you need engineers in order to go ahead and convert the ideas into reality. So as a product manager, you need to make sure that you are able to understand your engineers well and you are able to work with them. And for that, you need to have a common vocabulary. And that common vocabulary is understanding technology. Okay, so in order to work better with developers, you need to have some idea of technology, right? Now, the third thing is your engineers, no matter how much technical you are as a product manager, your engineers will always think that you are the non-tech guy. For them, you are the non-tech guy. Okay. And no matter how non-technical you are as a product manager, your sales and marketing team will always consider you as a technical guy, because you are the interface between the engineering team and the sales and the marketing team and other teams or the support team. And you have to show that you are not able to understand only the technical concepts, but you are able to help them understand in a very simplistic way. So salespeople will come to you and they will tell you that we need this feature. And then you'll talk to the engineering. You'll understand it is not feasible. Engineering will tell you in a very technical language that you need to understand. But you need to explain yourself to the sales and the marketing team in a very simple language. And for that, you need technical understanding and good communication skills. Right? So these are the three reasons why, as a product manager, you need to understand technology. Number one is understanding how your product and ecosystem works. Number two is empathize with engineers and empower them. And number three is explaining tech concepts to non-tech stakeholders. Right? Everyone, a quick yes or no in the chat if we are on the same page. Wonderful. Now let's go ahead. Yes. Now let's go ahead and talk about one important concept. Understand there are so many concepts in technology which I'm going to tell you about through a tutorial or through a resources. But let's take one concept which is a starting point of understanding tech as a product manager, which is called as the three-tier architecture. The three-tier architecture basically is that you can take any internet-based product in the world. Okay. You can take any internet-based product in the world and you should be able to break it down into three parts. Repeating again, you can take any internet-based product in the world and you should be able to break it down into three parts. The three parts are, number one is the presentation layer. The presentation layer is what you can touch, what you expose yourself to. For example, whenever you are using a website, the UI of that website, the buttons, the colors, the background, the text, the form elements, whatever you can touch and feel on the screen is called as the presentation layer. Okay. The second layer is, understand, presentation layer is good for looking and interacting with the particular product, but it cannot operate on its own. So whenever you interact with the presentation layer, the input goes to something called as an application layer, which is also called as the brain. This application layer is the layer that has the business logic. For example, when you sign up on LinkedIn, the sign up form that you see, different form elements where it shows password and everything, that is the presentation layer where you input the data, where you put your email ID, you put your password, and then you click on sign up button, right? And then this data is fetched from the presentation layer. It is sent to the application layer. The application layer is going to understand the data. That is it the email address? Is the password in the correct format? And then it is going to check if this user has already registered or not. If the user has already registered, what it will do? It will tell you to log in because you have already signed up, or it will ask you to reset your password. If the email address is new, it is going to let you sign up and it is going to move you forward to the next page. Okay, so all of this logic that I have told you is going to be on the application layer, right? And the third layer is, in order for the application layer to work, we need to store some kind of data. Okay, that is where the database layer. So database layer is the memory layer, which means that I have given an example that LinkedIn will first check LinkedIn's application layer. Whenever you click on the sign up button with your email ID, this email will go to the application layer. Application layer will check whether this email already exists with us or not. And for that, it will question the database. It will ask the database that whether this email ID is already registered with us. If it is already registered, then it is going to tell that no, it cannot be registered. You have to log in. Right? So that is the three-tier architecture made up of three things: the presentation layer, what you can touch, feel, which takes the input, which gives you the output. Then there is an application layer where all the business logic resides. And third is a database layer, which stores, updates, and gives you the data whenever you need it. Okay. To help you again, the presentation layers, the purpose of the presentation layer is it gets the user input in the form of touch, click, input in form of, let's say, entering some information. Okay. And it also presents the output or the UI. Let's say your sign up is successful. Then you are going to be directed to the next page, or you are going to get a pop-up, or the page is going to change, or the color is going to change. That output is also the responsibility of the presentation layer to present you. Okay. The second part is the application layer. The purpose of the application layer is to understand the user input. What is the user trying to tell you? What are their commands? After that, it will process the data. It will take the help from the database layer in order to understand what the user is trying to do. And the third is it will create the output. It will create the output and it will send the output to the presentation layer so that it can present to the user. Okay. And then eventually, database layer will store the data. And whenever it is required, whenever the application layer or the presentation layer requires the data, it is going to make the data available for them. Okay, so this is the three-tier architecture. Now, everyone, tell me on a scale of 1 to 5 if you are able to understand this simple concept. Yes. Now going forward, let me also give you one real example of the same. Okay. So if you guys are present on that WhatsApp group, then I have shared this LinkedIn post with you in the afternoon, right? So let us try to understand in this architecture. Let's say this is any LinkedIn post. This is any LinkedIn post. On this LinkedIn post, you can see that there is some content, there is hashtag, there is a PDF, then there are reactions, then there are comments, repost, and all of the photos of people, and also all of these buttons. This is the presentation layer. Okay. Now, here what will happen is that Whenever you press the like button, whenever you press the like button, what are the set of steps that are happening there? Think about it, guys. Yes, very good. I think you people are now able to understand. Cool. Yes. So what happens is that, first of all, whenever, so now carefully look at this, guys. Close LinkedIn, close the chat, please focus here. Okay, cool. Here, what is happening is, whenever you try to move your cursor on this particular screen, on this particular like button, okay, you will see five options. There is love, there is like, there is insight, there is something else, right? There are five options that are appearing. So you can not only like, you can give these five emotions. Okay. And whenever you like it, whenever you click on any button, then the presentation layer is going to take your input. It is going to understand what is the reaction that you have given. Then it will understand which is the post that we are talking about, because it needs to understand for which post it needs to count that like. And then it is also going to see which is the user that is currently logged in. If I am logged in, then it is going to be counted as my like. If it is you logged in, it is going to be counted as your like. Okay, so this information is collected. Now this information is sent to the logic layer, which is somewhere a server where LinkedIn has put all their business logic or their code. Okay, so there what happens? There what happens? First, we understand what is the type of reaction. Then we also have the user ID, which is the user that has logged in. Okay, and we also have the post, right? So now what will happen? This information is sent to the logic layer. Now the logic layer will check if the user has already given reaction from the data layer. So if you have already liked that content and if you again press that button, what will happen? It will go ahead and remove your like. So now it needs to check whether this person has already liked it or not. So this information is stored in the data layer. So in a data layer, there would be a table or a database where every user, whatever they have liked on any post, that is being accounted for. That is maintained as a record. So it will check if this person has already liked, then remove the like. If they have not liked, then try to understand what is the reaction that they are trying to give. Is it heart? It is insight? Is it like or something else? And once they understand the reaction, they are going to again take the count of everything, every like or every reaction that this post has. Okay, then it will send the new count. It will send the new count to this. The database would be updated and the new count is going to be sent here. For example, here we have 75 likes, right? If I click on the button, it will happen as you and 75 people, 75 others have liked this particular post. Okay, so this gives you the UI and collects the data. This runs the logic and this provides the data as and when available. A quick yes or no, everyone, if you're able to understand this. Very good. Yes. Now, the similar format, I told you the application layer and the presentation layer and the application layer, the presentation layer, and the database layer. In our daily language, we also convert these terms into front end, back end, and database. Front end is what you can see in the front that is available to you. It could be your mobile app or a website or a chatbot, right? Back end is where the logic runs. It is generally a remote server where the company, whichever you are using, LinkedIn or Naukri or Google, there they have They have taken a server at some place, and then they are hosting all of their business logic and their programming over there. Okay. And the third is the database, which I've already told. Okay. So now, guys, quickly tell me if you need one more example to understand this, or you are okay to go ahead. Tell me, go ahead, or one more example in the chat. Okay, cool. So yes, so we'll do one example, but in the end. Okay. I think right now you guys are able to understand. After that, what we'll do is after about 30 minutes, I'll give you a break of 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, I'll give you a small exercise. Okay. And then after that, I'll give you one more example. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, introducing you to a new concept of technology stacks. Okay. So, in order to create the front end, in order to create the back end, in order to create the databases, you need certain kind of technologies. You have to give some instructions. You need to host some code. You need to have some computers. Okay. So a technology stack is a set of technologies any company or a product uses in order to build its product. Okay. A set of technologies that any company uses in order to build its product. It is called as a technical stack. Okay. And based on front end, back end, and database, we can convert, and we can classify the technical stacks into four parts. The first part is the front end stack, back end stack, databases, and tooling. For front end stack, we have a very popular set of technologies called as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So no matter what kind of website that you are using in the world, whether it is ChatGPT, it is Google.com, it is LinkedIn, it is Netflix, it is YouTube, every website in the world is made with these three technologies at some or the other level. Okay, it is not possible to create a web page in any other technology. Okay, so every technology in the end needs to have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And these are the only three languages that can be understood by a web browser. Okay, so HTML is like the skeleton of the page. HTML is like the skeleton of the page. By skeleton, I mean that whatever the content that you see on the page, that is given by HTML. Now, CSS is the styling of the page. Let's say you want to add some color, some background, some margins, everything is CSS. Okay. Now, if you want to add some interactivity, that when you click a button, something should happen, something should animate, some data should go to the server, some data should come back from the server. That is happening with the JavaScript, right? So HTML is the structure, CSS is the look and feel like a skin, and JavaScript is the brain. It renders the interactivity or dynamicness to a web page. Okay. Now, although HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the fundamental technologies, it is very difficult to create a very scaled website. Let's say Facebook with billions of web pages, or Google with millions of web pages, or LinkedIn with millions of profiles, only with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So there are tools and frameworks or libraries that companies have created in order to make it simpler. But before I could tell you about this, let me go ahead and show you one example. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. I'm trying to show you something. Okay. So this is a wonderful website called codepen.io where I'm trying to tell you how a web page looks like. So this is a web page. This is the CSS cascading style sheets behind that web page. This is the HTML and this is the JavaScript. Okay. So now if you guys can look at this, yes. Now if you guys can look at this, here it is written that I am a headline made with HTML and I am simple paragraph and the button is hide the text above. So you can understand that here these are called as tags. This is simple to understand. This is a button. So if you understand whatever is written over here, this actually comes at a button. Okay. So now if I change something, if I change to welcome to Tech for PM's Masterclass. Now you can see the thing is changing. So this particular part is HTML, which defines the structure and content on the web page. Okay. Now, if I need to change some color or padding or something, color or margin or background or the size of the text, anything that is, I would say, that is for looks and feel. Okay. Let's say I want to change the color of this particular text. Welcome to Tech for PM's Masterclass. Okay. What I will do is I will understand what is the tag. The tag is H1. So in the CSS, wherever H1 is written, I will write color as green. Now you can see that the color has changed, right? So there are multiple CSS properties that define how the particular HTML is going to look or feel like. Okay. And the third part is interactivity. Now, if you see, look at this code, guys. I'm not sure if you guys are able to understand this. Okay. So look at this code. Okay. And tell me what will happen with this. Think about it for 1 minute and tell me what will happen with this. Look at it like simple English language. Yes. So what will happen is that whenever this button, on clicking this button, this will happen. What will happen? Whatever is the element P, its opacity is going to become 0. Opacity means it will become completely transparent. Okay, so I'll just click on this. I'll click on the hide the text above. What is the P text? This is the P text. And I am a simple text paragraph. This is the complete P text. So when I click on this, everything is hidden. Right? So this is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML was the structure. CSS was the look and feel. And button or the JavaScript added the interactivity to the button. Okay, so that is like a very fundamental, but understand, guys, I have already created a wonderful resource for you. Okay, let me show it to you so that you guys can understand. Just give me a moment. Yes. So, guys, I have created this detailed resource for you where you are going to get understanding of all of these important tech terms for product managers. I have included detailed tutorials for the same as well, along with interview questions and multiple case studies as well. You just have to remain till the end of the session, submit the feedback form, and you will get it for free. Okay, so this is the front end. In the front end, we fundamentally have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But because if the website has 100, 200, 1000, 5000, or maybe more pages, then you cannot write HTML and CSS for each and every page. So what you do is you use some kind of frameworks or libraries. Okay, and for that, people have invented things like React, Angular, jQuery. What they do is they make writing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and other technologies at scale very easy. Okay, so that is the front end. React is the most popular right. Okay, now the second part is just now the second part is backend. Okay, now the output is visible. You can get the input from the users. Now what you need to do is you need to have one language. You need to have some code that can understand the input from the user, that can process the input, that can talk to the database, and then that can create the output in the form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript or any other framework, and then give it to the client. Right? And for that, we need something that can give instructions to your computer. And for that, we need a programming language. Okay. So common programming languages are Java, Python, PHP. There are 100 other programming languages, but these are very popular. Okay. And here also understand, in order to run these languages, in order to make sure that whenever a computer, whenever a website, whenever a user tries to connect with your server and your server is available, you need to have multiple softwares. So Apache and Nginx are called as server softwares. If you install Apache or Nginx on any computer, that will be available on the internet. That will become available from the internet. Right? So this is the server software. The second is CentOS. CentOS or Ubuntu or Mac, these are operating systems. Because if you want to learn, if you want to execute or run any language or any code on any piece of machine, you need an environment, and that is the operating system. Okay, so front end and back end, right? The third thing is databases. In databases also we have multiple availabilities. Okay, there is MySQL, there is Postgres, there is MongoDB. MySQL and Postgres are SQL databases where the data is stored in the form of rows, and consider it like a Google spreadsheet. Okay, and the second type of databases is a MongoDB. MongoDB is that the data is stored but not in a structure. Okay, now there are other tools as well, such as Cassandra, if you want to go ahead and create a database at scale. Okay, similarly, we have something called as cache. Cache is a fast memory. For example, if you want to go ahead and access something very fast and the database is slow, then you can always use something called as cache. A popular example of cache is Redis. So whenever you look at your LinkedIn feed, that data is not coming directly from database. That is actually coming from a cache. That is a faster database. Okay. And after this, we have other tools. Understand, in order to integrate all of these tools, in order to become more productive as a developer, you need to understand multiple tooling as well. Okay. So some tooling is Postman. Postman will help you test your APIs. Okay. Git, it helps you do the version control. Version control as in there are 100 developers working on a piece of software. Okay. And now someone is changing something, someone is editing something, someone is deploying something. How do you make sure that you have the right updated version and there are no conflicts in the code? For that, we use Git. And then ID is integrated development environment. Some of you might have heard about Cursor or Visual Studio. These are the softwares where your developers sit and they code. Okay. And there is something called as Jenkins. Whenever you create a software, you need to test it, you need to deploy it, you need to make sure that every integration that is integrated with that is working fine. And to automate that, we use something called as Jenkins. Okay. And these days, developers are also using something called as LLMs or large language models in order to improve their productivity as a coder. Right? Because the LLMs can write the code for them. It is like ChatGPT, but integrated. An LLM is integrated in the integrated development environment. Okay, so this is an example of tech stack. The tech stack is nothing but the various kind of technologies that any company or product is using in order to build it. right? A quick yes on everyone if you're able to understand this. Yes, cool. Now, everyone, understand that I have only given you a very high level understanding of this, but I'm going to share some resources with you so that you can go ahead and go into a bit more detail. The intent of this session is just to help you understand what are the things that you can explore in technology as a product manager. It would be impossible for us to compress everything in one session. Okay. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Okay. Like Visual Code, like Cursor, like Sublime Text. And LLMs stand for Large Language Models. When IDE connects with an LLM, let's say when IDE connects with an LLM, then what happens? Your developers are able to get more productive. Now the AI can generate the codes for them. Okay. Now, if you want to find the tech stack for any company in the world, if you want to find the tech stack for any company in the world, you can use websites such as StackShare, BuiltWith, SimilarTech, TechStack.io. So, guys, I'm going to give this slide to you, so you don't need to write anything. You can just use the slide where all the links are present. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of knowing the tech stack? Whenever you are trying to interview in a company, they can ask you questions around their tech stack. So it's important that whenever you are interviewing a company, at least look at their tech stack at a high level. Okay. And these are the resources from which you can find the tech stack for almost every other company. For example, on Uber, the tech stack is Apache they are using for server, jQuery for backend, jQuery for front end, JavaScript, then React also for front end, Java for backend, and these kind of. Yes, cool. Now, after understanding the two critical parts, first is understanding why do you need to understand tech. Second is what are tech stack, and then the theater architecture. We are moving to the fourth topic. This topic is how to work with developers. Okay. So how many of you are developers? How many of you are developers? Tell me in the chat. Tell me yes or no in the chat if you are a developer or not. Hmm. Now, all the developers, tell me what is one issue that you have with your product managers. Tell me what is one issue that you have with your product managers. Timelines, lack of technical skills. Wonderful, wonderful, great. So once I was teaching a class of almost 600 people, and all of them were developers. Okay, because I was taking the class for uh, Scalar. I was an instructor there. I was teaching them product management. And I asked people, like, as a developer, what is your number one issue with the product managers? And most of me tell that they come up with unrealistic requirements. They don't know how to go ahead and understand simple technical concepts. Okay. They keep on doing the to and fro more often than not. Okay. So these were the major issues that people told me. Okay. And based on that, we were able to go ahead and understand how we can solve them. Okay. I hope everyone is able to understand this meme, right? A quick yes or no if you're able to understand this meme. Yes. Yes. So in order to work better with developers, in order to work better with developers, you need to take care of two things. The first thing is empathy. Empathy means you should genuinely understand the other person, who they are, what do they want in their life, what are their apprehension, what is their nature. Okay, don't think that everyone is like you. Everyone has a different perspective based on their work, based on their knowledge, based on their background, based on what do they do. Okay, so the first thing is empathy. And the second thing that you need to know is clarity. As a product manager, it is your absolute responsibility to bring clarity on the table. Okay, by clarity, I mean you need to give them right, clear requirements and be proactive in your communication. Let me tell you how. So, in order to work with developers, and this is, guys, one of the most important slides. Most of the product managers are making their life hell and their developers' life hell because they do not follow these practices. Okay, this is like the slide that can entirely change how you look at work-life balance and how you look at working with other people. Okay, and not only for, let's say, working with developers, you can also implement this for designers and other people. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to understand first, take a reflection, take a step back and reflect that I definitely need to build empathy with this person who is a developer, and I definitely bring clarity. Okay, now it might be possible that you as a product manager are working with 20 developers. So it is not possible for you to develop empathy with each and everyone. You cannot talk to them, right? Like at least do not talk to them at a length. So what you will do is you will try to develop that empathy with their leaders. If you are working with 10 engineers as a product manager, there would be some leader. Maybe he's an engineering manager, CTO, tech lead, or something. So you need to build that relationship with them. So the first part of this relationship is empathy. Empathy means invest time in development, in developing the development and the PM relationship. Understand where they are coming from. Tell them that, boss, I need to help you out. We are together going to make this product success. What is it that you think I should be knowing so that they can onboard you better? Most of the time, product managers do not have any context about their current system, their tech stack, and they are playing on assumptions. Okay, first, whenever you are joining a new team as a product manager, or if you're already in a team, take some time to reflect back, spend some time with the developer, and make sure that you are spending time in this particular relationship. Okay, and relationship is only about asking the right questions and willing to listen more than you talk. Okay, the second thing is understanding of common tech terminologies. What I mean by this is that every developer expects you to understand that you should be at least talking in the same language. It is okay if you are not the expert, but at least if they are telling you, let's say LLMs, you should go ahead and do the research and understand what an LLM is. Okay, it does not only will help you, let's say, do the better work, it will also make sure that you are remaining curious at your work. Okay, it will develop you as an individual. Okay, and at the end of the session, I'm going to give you a list of tech terms that if you go ahead and learn, that should be more than enough for you, right? And for other terms which are specific for a particular company, just talk to your developers, tell them what are the terms that I should be knowing, and I'll do my research. Okay. The third part is bring your research. Understand, if you invest time in the dev and the PM relationship, you'll understand that product managers, sorry, the developers are very pragmatic people. Pragmatic as in very logical people. They understand logic. Input, do something, and then you get the output. Right? So they are very clear about what your role is. Okay. So as a product manager, your major role is to not to develop, to not to code. Your major role is that you had made sure that if we build this product, then it will work. There is some users in the world who actually need this product. If we build this product, it is going to take our business forward. Okay. So whether your product is valuable or not, whether it is viable for the business or not, you have to do this research and bring it together. Okay. This way you will get the trust from the developers. Rather than telling them what comes at the top of your mind, bring your research, why this is important to build. Okay. And then count on developers for feasibility. whether this particular thing is actually feasible technically or not. Okay. Always share with them the bigger picture. Bigger picture means if you do not tell them why this product, how this product, and why this product is impacting the user's life, they will only think of every feature as a piece of code or a piece of pixels. If you can tell them that, boss, this is what we are doing and this is how it is going to affect the life of the user. For example, if you consider a like button on Facebook, in the end, the like button is what? It is just some set of pixels, maybe a 64 by 64 square of pixels, or it is just a piece of code that when you click, it sends some data to the backend and then it generates some likes. Okay, but if you understand it from a user's perspective, if you understand from a user perspective, that is a way to give feedback. That is a way to give appreciation. That is a voice of the user on the platform. Okay. Similarly, if you think it from a business perspective, you understand that if Facebook has a like button, because of which they are able to collect a lot of data, lot of insights or interest about the user, because of which they are able to mine a lot of money. Right? Because now they have your complete profiling, what you like, what you don't like. They're able to use this data for advertising. Okay. So as a product manager, rather than showing it as a feature or just something that you are adding, try to help people understand the value of what you are building, not only to your customer, but also to your developers. Okay. And it is my advice to everyone that whenever you start getting an idea, it is a great idea. It is suggested to involve your developers as soon as possible. Rather than telling them that this is a solution that we need to build, you give them the problem and then try to brainstorm together. What will happen is that, first of all, if you are involving them early, you will understand the feasibility issues earlier. Second is, when they give an idea, whenever they are involved in the, let's say, the research process or the brainstorming process, they will feel like it's their own. You will get a better buy. Okay. And the last point is align the common goals. Okay. Developers might think for the short term, which is around their productivity, which is around getting their task done. It is your responsibility to make sure that you are able to align their short term goals with the long term goals of the product. You have to tell them that if we spend some time in order to build this product, this is how it is going to help you out in your career. Right? Understand? At the base, you have to understand this, that everyone wants to build great products, everyone wants to build impact. If your developers are not working in this direction, either you have made a mistake at hiring or you are now making a mistake at communicating yourself. Okay, so this is the first part. Empathy. Genuinely invest in this relationship. Okay, these are the best practices to implement this empathy. Now, the second part is bringing the clarity. Okay, what do I mean by clarity? Is clarity means you are giving them a clear cut understanding. You are clear in your communication. Okay, so first of all, the first thing in clarity is make sure that you are clear of the nature of requirements. Why do I call it nature and not just requirements? Nature means, as product managers, you are following agile. You say that requirements can change. We cannot understand what the users want. It is not set in concrete. Okay. But most of the time I have seen people use the term agile just as an excuse to not do the user research or an excuse for the bad user research. Okay. You have to invest time in user research. Don't just try to build products and try to get them to fail. In theory, it looks like that failure is a stepping stone to success, but no one builds the product to fail. Okay, so make sure that you are doing your groundwork, you are doing your research. Okay, and at times it is possible that you are not clear of the requirements. Let's say you believe that this idea might work, or maybe you believe that that idea might work. So it is your responsibility to tell it to the engineering team that we are doing it as an experiment, so that they will invest the right kind of time that is required in order to build that small experiment. Otherwise, they will invest all of their time. They will invest time in doing the best kind of code, creating the best kind of code, building a scalable system, and then in the end, you are not going to use it if the idea does not work. Okay. So always focus on giving the right nature of requirements. Is it concrete or is it going to be a flexible requirement? And when you talk about flexible requirement, you also have to tell what is flexible about this requirement. so that they can create the systems accordingly. Okay. The next part is invest time in requirement dialogue. By requirement dialogue, I mean don't just send them the PRD and expect everything to happen. PRD means product requirement document. How to create a product requirement document? I will also give you a resource after the call ends so that you can understand. So, whenever you give them requirements, it is important for them to give some time, maybe a day, to go through the requirements. Okay. You can also set up a time in their calendar that from this time to this time, you can at your own time go ahead and look at the requirements. And then you need to have a call with them to understand whether there is any confusion, and you can also give them help them understand the requirements in a brief. Okay, so that all the to and fro can happen over the call, not after you have started building the product, after they have already taken some critical decision. Okay, and always remember, guys, I'm saying that you do not need to do this with every developer, but at least do it with the engineer. Okay, at least do it with the engineering manager or whoever is the leader. Okay, the next part is clarity of process and its need. Whether you are following Agile, Scrum, Kanban, anything, or before even let's say going anything into development, you have to create a product requirement document, you have to get approvals, you have to do anything. Make sure that your team is aware about all of these processes. The processes are very clear, and also you need to also help them understand its need. Don't just follow a requirement or or a process just because someone told you to do so. No, you have to understand why we are following it. Okay, please try to remove as much bureaucracy as you can. Okay, now the most important part is this. Most important part is this, which is proactive communication. By proactive communication, I mean build a environment, build a culture in the company so that people are not afraid to proactively communicate. So rather than telling everyone at the last moment, let's say you have given a feature to the developer and they are working on it, and they have given you 14 days to complete it. They told that I'll be able to complete in maybe 2 weeks. And on the second week, on the last day, they are telling you that maybe I'll take more time or it will not be delivered on time. Then that's a bad culture. What you need to do is you need to set up the proactive communication in such a way that whenever they are facing the problem, they are able to tell it to you. So maybe doing a daily stand up every day and then asking people three simple questions. Why TB? Why stands for what you have accomplished yesterday, what you have done yesterday, what are the tasks that have been completed yesterday, what are we going to do today, and are there any blockers? So that rather than finding it on a 14th day that you're not going to measure the deadlines, you can go ahead and know it today that no, we are going to miss the deadline. Right? So that you can course correct and you can make sure that you are able to not miss the deadline. Right? So this is called as proactive communication. And not only from developers' end, you also have to give the proactive communication. For example, if they have launched the feature, you should proactively tell them how the feature has been doing. If you think that some requirement is going to change, you should proactively tell them that this requirement might change. So go ahead and proceed cautiously. Okay, so proactive communication is the key to better stakeholder management. Okay, and guys, understand, although it's very simple for me to say that you should do proactive communication, but for proactive communication, you need a lot of courage. Why? Because everyone believes that something will happen on 14th day and everything will work. And that is why they delay the communication. And then nothing works. Okay, so make sure that you do make people courageous enough to do the proactive communication, and that happens from the leadership level. You have to communicate this. You have to create an environment around the same. Okay, and the last part is divide responsibilities clearly. Okay, I'm going to talk about this in detail, but right now we'll take a quick break of 5 minutes. So everyone, quick break of 5 minutes. These resources contains essential tech term for product managers. So all the terminologies are defined here along with videos. Then common questions in tech interviews, and also some important case studies for you to understand tech as a product manager. Okay, so all of this would be available to you for free. Cool. So now going forward, I was talking about dividing responsibility, dividing responsibility between the product manager and the engineering manager or the engineering counterpart. Okay. Understand, you can divide the responsibilities into multiple things. Okay. So let's say there are five things that you need to do. The first is, why are we building something? How it is going to help the users? How it is going to help the business? So why are we building something? What is the objective? Okay. The second question that we ask is, what are we building? What is the feature? Are you building a messaging system, or you are building a recommendation system, or you are building a website? What are you building? Right? The third is, how are you building it? How means, what is the technology? What is the exact process of coding that particular thing? Okay. The fourth part is, when are you building? What is the timeline? Okay. What is the timeline? And then the last part is, who is going to build this? In the engineering team, who is going to build this? Okay. So, guys, if I divide this across engineering manager and the product manager, then why, which is why we are doing this particular initiative, that should come from the product manager. Why? Because they are doing the user research, they are doing the business research, they have more context, right? The what part, what the product is going to look like, this comes from the product manager and also from the designer, right? The third part, how are we going to build it? What is the technology that we will use? How are we going to do the coding? What is the architecture? This is engineering manager's responsibility. Okay. When are we going to build it? What is the timeline? The PM can inform the EM. The PM can help EM make the informed decision, but eventually it is the decisions of the engineering manager, because these are the people who are going to execute. You can tell them that how urgent it is. You can tell them how it is important, when we are going to launch it, but eventually the final call will be taken by the engineering manager. And the last part is who. Who exactly in the team is going to develop this? This call has to be taken by engineering manager, because they are the people who are doing their one-on-one calls with the multiple developers. They are their managers. They understand what the individual aspirations of a particular person is and what is their availability. So why are we doing something? PM responsibility. What are we doing? PM plus UX responsibility. How are we going to do it? What is the technology that we'll use? Engineering manager is going to do this. When are we going to do? Timeline is a responsibility of EM. And then who is going to do it? Which resource in terms of engineering is going to do it is the EM responsibility. Okay. If you understand this and if you communicate it clearly to your engineering managers, you are going to avoid a lot of chaos as a product. Okay. A quick yes or no in the chat, everyone, if you are able to understand. Okay. So tell me on a scale of 1 to 5. Tell me on a scale of 1 to 5 if you are able to understand how to work better with the developers. Everyone on a scale of 1 to 5, please. Amazing. Cool. You guys are quick. You are able to get things quickly. Very good. Yes. Now, once you have this, most of your work is done. Understand, this is the most important slide. Now, after this, let me go ahead and tell you how to answer the tech questions in any product management interview. How to answer the tech questions in any product manager interview. Okay. But before that, as a product manager, it is my responsibility or it is my habit to start with why. Why means, why means, why exactly are these company asking you tech questions? When they know that you are a product manager, you don't have to code, when they know that you are a non-technical person or you are almost a non-technical person, why do they ask you to have some technical understanding? Why do they expect some technical understanding from you? Okay, so although I've already answered this at the starting of this session, I'll again give you this. Okay, so first is, you need to understand how your product works. I have told you an example of APIs. Second is, you need to collaborate with developers. I have told you how to collaborate with developers, right? The third is, You need to be curious to learn to solve problems. Understand, product managers are problem solvers. Product managers are problem solvers. And if you want to solve problems, you need to be curious. You need to be curious enough to explore multiple things, multiple problems, multiple solutions, multiple permutation and combinations. Okay. And if you are not understanding the technology that you are working in, that means you are not curious. So one person's ability to understand technology is also the indication of their curiosity, because content is available. You also have the need. You have the need and you're not following that content, that means you're not so curious. Okay. And the last part is, you also need to help your non-tech stakeholders. You need to help your non-tech stakeholders, such as sales and marketing and support and other teams, in order to help them understand the requirements well, in order to help them understand why something can be done or cannot be done. So you need to understand technical concepts and then help them understand it in a very, very simple language. Okay, so these are the four reasons why people ask you technical questions in a product management interview. And these days, almost in every tech questions, every uh, product management interview question, there is a tech round. Okay, so we recently had a student. Let me just recover his name. Just give me a moment. Just give me 1 minute, guys. I'll show you the slide. Yeah, so very recently, I think we had this guy called Summer. Let me show you his profile. Just give me a moment. Yes, so we very recently had this guy Summer who was able to transition from sales to AIPM. He was coming from a non-tech background. He was into sales, then he was out of job for around 1.5 years, and then he was able to do this. Okay, so you can check my profile after this call in order to understand how he is transition and how he was able to answer the tech questions. Okay, now he's an AIPM, which is a technical role. Okay, but very inspirational story. If someone is from a non-tech background, they still want to become a product manager. Very inspirational story to see. Okay, I'll also share this link with you uh, in the resources. Okay, now after this, yes. Now after this, let me give you the big part for what everyone is waiting. Okay, so in any product management interview regarding tech, you can expect these kind of 5 questions. I will also tell you how to prepare. Okay, the first kind of question is common tech terminology. To make sure that you are able to collaborate better with the developers, you understand your domain, you understand the common tech terminologies, people are going to ask you these questions. These questions are of the format that what are APIs, what is CDN, how YouTube works, why cache is faster. Okay, guys, this thing is pure play information. You need to spend time in order to understand technology. Okay, I have created a resource for you for where you can go ahead and understand about most of these topics. We also offer a full-fledged course on understanding tech as a product manager, which I'm going to tell you in a moment. Okay, but this is the first kind of question, which is common tech terminologies. I'll also give you, let's say, common terms that people ask when they are in a product management interview. Okay, the second is experience and role specific. These are the most common questions. These are the most common questions. What happens is that whenever you send your resume to any company, they look at your resume. And based on the resume, they ask you questions. For example, you have written about APIs, you have written about databases, you have written about CDNs, you have written about three-tier architecture, you have written about Java, PHP, Python. Then, if you have mentioned something in your resume, it is your responsibility to own it, and not only own it and not only understand it, but also understand how you have used it in your past. Okay, so these are questions such as which APIs have you worked with? For example, you have mentioned about APIs in your resume. So you need to make sure that yes, you are aware about the same. Okay, that is the first part. The second kind of questions are If people ask you that what was the technical stack of your past company? Okay, people can ask you that what is the technical stack of your past company? So you need to understand that as well. Okay, because if you have worked with developers, you would have a common vocabulary, and then you should understand what your existing company was doing. Okay, and the third and the most important is read the job description well, because what happens is that in the job description, if they have mentioned something such as SQL, such as API, such as cloud, such as anything, any technical term, you should make sure that you are creating your information about this particular technology. Okay. And if you really want to do very well in the interview, then my advice would be that research the technical stack of the company that you are interviewing for. Okay. Research the technical stack of the company that you are interviewing for. What are the technologies that they are using? And maybe build a surface level understanding of the technology so that you can hold better communication and conversations with them. Okay. Can anyone tell me how do you find the technical stack of the company that you are interviewing with? Tell me in the chat, how would you find the technical stack of a company that you are interviewing with? Text, share. Hmm. Very good. That means people are taking the notes. Wonderful. Yes. Now I'll tell you one more why. Now I'll tell you one more thing. Okay. So let's say the company is not so popular. Let's say the company is not so popular and it is not available on tech stack or any of the platforms. So what you can do is you can look at their job description for developers. For example, you are looking to work at a company. You are looking to work at a company, and then you found their job description on LinkedIn for product manager. You can also look for their job description for any kind of developer or technical role. And in the technical role, they would have mentioned all the technologies that a person is supposed to know. And most probably, this is going to be the tech stack. So their engineering team tech stack, their engineering team job description can help you understand the tech stack of a company. Okay. Yes. Cool. So these are the most common type of question, and it depends upon your past, your current, and the future company that you are going to work for. For this, you have to do some research. Okay. The third kind of questions are stakeholder management questions. For example, how do you get estimates from engineers? How do you create and prioritize a product roadmap? How do you address tech debts and bugs in a sprint? How do you keep your developers motivated? Okay, these are the questions that are interpersonal questions. What are the processes that you are following at your company? This can be answered by understanding processes at your company, talking to your developers, doing some Google research, and also following all of the principles that I have just told you. Okay, and I'm also going to recommend you one book. Okay, so there is a wonderful book written very, very long time ago. It's still a masterpiece when it comes to working with people. Okay, the name of the book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm sure everyone is aware about this book. The name of the book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And along with this, you should also read about Amazon 16 leadership principles. Okay, Amazon 16 leadership principles and How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Okay, and also guys, in the resources section, I'll also give you particular question answers of questions such as how do you get estimates and everything. So don't be worrying about that. Okay. Now the fourth kind of question is explain to a grandma or kid. I have told you that as a product manager, not only you have to understand technology, but you need to be a better communicator so that you can communicate whatever is in your mind to the sales and the development and maybe the sales, the marketing and the design people who are non-tech. So these are also very common questions. Common questions such as how do you explain a database to a kid? How do you explain your API to your grandma? In layman terms, help me understand how a payment gateway works. Okay, these are very, very, very common questions. Okay, can someone help me understand how do you answer these questions? Let's say if someone asks you how would you explain a technical concept to a grandma or to a 5-year-old kid, what would you do? Think about it, guys. Yes, this batch is very intelligent. Yes, guys, you are completely correct, which is you use the help of analogies, right? You use the help of analogies, right? So let's say if you want to help someone understand API, if you want to help a kid understand API, you can tell them, and this is a very common example, that imagine going to a restaurant. Imagine going to a restaurant. You give your order to the waiter takes that order, he goes to the kitchen, he tells the chef prepares the order, the waiter takes the order and it presents it to you. So in this case, the waiter is acting as an API because it is exchanging information and requirements and data and content between you and the chef or the kitchen. So you are the consumer of the API, the chef is the provider of the API, and then your waiter is the API. Okay, so this is one common analogy that we use, and there are multiple analogies. Okay, which you can go ahead and use. Okay, a good resource is if you want to, let's say, understand all of this, what you can do is there's a very interesting subreddit called as Explain Like I Am 5. So if you search for ELI5 on Reddit or on Google, then you should be able to find this subreddit where you can understand how people are explaining things very simply, maybe to a 5-year-old kid. Okay, and then the last kind of questions. Now, guys, understand interviews are not only about information. All of the things that we are doing here is all about information. You have some information stored in your mind, and then you are going to vomit that information in front of the interview. Okay, yes, it works, but 80% of the interviews are not about this. They are about your ability to think on the feet. Okay, they are about your ability to think on the feet. So, what you should do is, as a product manager, people want to understand, can you think on your feet or not? Given some very fundamental things, are you able to collect them, connect them, and then you are able to generate unique ideas or not? For example, people can ask you the question, how would you improve the speed of a website? How would you measure the performance of an API? Write algorithm to calculate the estimated time to arrive at Swiggy. You might or might not face these kind of questions in a question book where you can prepare from. These are the questions that are going to be presented to you at the moment, and then you have to formulate an answer. Here, people are trying to check your IQ and your ability to think on the feet. Okay, so my question to everyone is, how would you improve the speed of a website? Tell me in the chat, everyone, how would you improve the speed of a website? Minify JS, optimize code, sharding, improve CLS score, optimize code, cache, fixing bug. Srishti has an interesting answer. What kind of website is? Yes, guys. So understand, most of you, most of you are playing humanity's favorite sport. Can anyone tell me what is humanity's favorite sport? Okay, what is your country's favorite sport? You are playing that by giving these kind of answers. Yes. Now with answers, I can understand that most of the people are not here for the first time. So What you guys are doing, you are just jumping to conclusions. I will do sharding. I will do optimize of the JavaScript. I will do caching. I will do a CDN. I will do this. Okay. Understand, guys. First step to solve a question is to understand the question. What website are we going to talk about? Are we talking about Netflix? Are we talking about YouTube? Are we talking about Google? Are we talking about ChatGPT? If you're talking about YouTube, then you need to focus on what part of YouTube are you talking about? The home page where video does not place, or you're talking about the video page? Because for video page, there are different optimizations. You have to understand how the data is coming from the video, what is the bit rate, what are other kind of things, right? Similarly, if you are optimizing a chat GPT page, then you have to focus more on LLMs, how you can optimize the LLM, right? So understand, you might or might not know the answer, but it is never okay to jump straight to the answer. Don't jump to conclusions. Try to first understand the question, and then you have already solved half of the question. Okay. So the most important thing that I can tell you as a product manager is take a step back. Before you move forward, take a step back. In everything that you do as a product manager in your life, please take a step back. Take a step back. Okay. So guys, these are the 5 type of tech questions that are asked in product management interviews. Okay. Everyone, on a scale of 1 to 5, if you are able to understand this. Cool. Cool. Now guys, before I could share with you of the feedback form, I could understand that because we do not have enough time, we are not able to capture each and every topic in detail. Understand, technology is very wide. I can take 2 hours in order to help you understand the tech stack in a bit more detail. I can take 5 hours in order to help you understand the 3-tier architecture. Okay. So what we are doing is, okay, so at HelloPM, if you like this preview, okay, then we also have a very detailed program on how to become more technical as a product manager. So if you go to the HelloPM website, on that website, if you click on the programs, tech for product managers and business folks, you should be able to understand this program. Okay, this is one of the kind of program that can help you. This is one of the kind of program that can help you become more confident with technology as a product manager. Okay, like the session that we are having, we have about 12 to 18 sessions in this particular program, like this, so that you are able to understand technology in and out. Okay, whatever you need as a product manager. Okay, this is for 6 weeks, and this is the curriculum. So what we teach you is, in the week 1, we are going to teach you introduction to internet technologies, technology stacks and popular technologies. I'm going to talk about each and every technology in detail there. And then understanding databases, how to run SQL queries, how to look at vector-based databases. And we are going to discuss all of these case studies. After this, in the 3rd and 4th week, we are going to talk about APIs and webhooks, how APIs work, what are major components of API, how API product management is done, and how to use Postman to test APIs. Okay. We are also going to give you understanding of multiple tools, Cloud 101, and system design, how to design a particular system, even if you are coming from a non-technical background. That's also a common question. Okay. We'll give you examples of YouTube, OpenAI, Postman, Booking.com, and all. And then in the eventual week, we are going to talk about working with engineering teams, artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is a very detailed module. And then how to prepare for tech interview rounds. Okay, here we are going to give you multiple case studies and multiple products to use. Okay, and we are also going to give you one assignment. If you complete that assignment, then you will also unlock the bonus module where we talk about so many no-code and AI tools to help you become a better product manager. Okay, and to help you build your own product from scratch. Okay, so this is a program. The enrollments are closing soon. So if some of you are interested, you can check the, yes, you can go ahead and check the pricing, and everything is mentioned here. I think the pricing of this program is, yes, the pricing of this program is 15,000, but I think for the early bird, if you register sooner, it would be around 10,000 rupees. For people who are outside India, it's just $150. Okay, all of the sessions are live. Recordings are given to you. Okay, so if you guys want to, you can go ahead and check this out. Yes, cool. So now, guys, I hope you got this. Okay, yes. So if there are some of you who are aspiring product managers, or maybe who are already into product management, but apart from technology, you want to understand other things as well, such as growth, analytics, how to crack PM interviews. Then we also have a flagship program, which is this program, where we help you understand product management from end to end. User research, market research, analytics, growth, technology, AI, everything. And this technology program is also a complementary part of this bigger program. Okay, so this is it. You can get all the information from the website. Thank you. Yes. Also, guys, one more request that we also have a very interesting YouTube channel. Okay, you can search for HelloPM on YouTube, and you should be able to see some really wonderful videos. Okay, so how to prepare for PM interviews, end to end, everything is mentioned there. Okay, how to how someone was able to get from sales to PM, how to use AI tools as a PM, how to do fintech product management, how to build a product portfolio, analytics masterclass. Most of the details are there. Go ahead and also, yes, go ahead and also look at the YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It will help us out, and it will help us create more content for you. Hello PM is the name of the YouTube channel, please. Everyone, I'll give you 1 more minute to fill the feedback form before we could resume the session. I have shared the link to the link. Okay, so I've shared the link to the YouTube channel as well. If you guys want to subscribe, yes, guys. So now let us go ahead and talk about this. So on LinkedIn, okay, when I click on this button, my network, guys, please be back here. Right, I am back in the chat if your focus is here. Right, I am back in the chat if your focus is here. Wonderful, great. So now we want to understand how this page is rendered. Okay, so whenever I click on my connections, okay, this page is being rendered. Okay, so how does this page occurs? Let us try to understand the technology behind this. Okay, so the process is, first, on the client. Client is you. You are the client. You have a mobile app, or you are using LinkedIn on your laptop or your mobile. So what you do is you click on a URL. That URL is this. This is the URL. Okay. When you click on this URL, what happens is, when you click on this URL, so this is happening on the front end. Okay. Now what will happen? This URL would go to the server or the machine that is behind LinkedIn.com. So LinkedIn.com, they would have bought some servers at a particular remote place. Okay. And these servers are able to listen to all of these requests. So whenever you type a URL, the request will go to a server. Now on that server, we have a backend system. Okay. The backend is going to understand what the URL is. So backend has understood that whenever someone asks about this URL, they are looking for connections. They are looking to understand who are the people that are connected to them. Okay. So first, backend, what will backend do? Backend will understand the request. Even before understanding the request, actually, it will receive the request. Okay. Once it has received, then it will understand the request. Now it has understood the request that I need list of people connected to this person. Okay. And in the list, I need following information. What information do I need? I need their name, I need their titles, I need when they are connected, I need their DP, I need a message button. Okay. So what it will do is, what it will do is, now it understands the request, it is going to ask the database. But database has no brain. Database can only give you information and it can store information. So now in database, there would be some table where it is written that, let's say this is the connection table. In this table, it is mentioned that this is the ID of the user and this is the ID of the connection. And this is when they have connected, like connected time. So all of this information is stored. Okay. Similarly, there is a table called as users. Similarly, there is something called as users. Okay. In the users table, there is information about the user, which is what is the ID of the user, what is the name of the user, what is the title of the user. Okay. Maybe what is the profile picture of the user. So the backend will ask the database that give me a list of everyone who is connected to this particular user who is logged in currently, who is making this request. And then whatever the user ID comes, give me all the information about these users. So now this information would be collected. This information would be collected. Okay. Now this information is in the raw text format. If I give this information to you as an individual, you'll not be able to understand it because it is raw information. So now what will happen? The server or the backend will take this information. It will convert this information. It will convert this information in the form of a web page. Web page means combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. And once it has got this, then it will go back this information, get back this information to the client or the presentation. Okay. So client is the presentation layer or the front end layer. This is the backend layer. This is the database layer. Okay. This is how all of these things are happening. And whenever again, let's say someone clicks on this connect button, message button, then again a request would be sent to the backend. It will understand what the request is. It will do the required processing with the database and then things will happen. Okay. Everyone, yes or no, if you're able to understand this? Wonderful. Great. Now, there is one more case that I can tell you before we could wrap up the session, which is it might be possible. Okay. So even before we do this, understand that the server will first check whether there is a user who is logged in the system or not. Understand? If I try to open this URL when I am not logged in, then it will throw me an error that this page is only for people who have signed up on the platform. And it will ask for login or sign. right? So if I'm not logged in, it cannot show this page, because if I'm not logged in, where is the user ID, right? So first it will do a condition. So the real diagram would be that client will ask for the connection URL. The backend will first understand, is user logged in? If the user is not logged in, then show sign up page. It will give you the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript of the sign up page. But if the user is logged in, then it will talk to database, get information, create a page, and then send this page to the client URL. Okay, so this is the wrap up, guys. I think we are on time and you guys are able to understand what I have to told you. So today we have talked about today we have talked about four important parts. First is, why do you need to understand tech as a product manager? Then we talk about the three-tier architecture and technology stacks. Then we talk about how to go ahead and crack tech interviews and become a product manager. And I also talk about how do you collaborate with the developers as a product manager. Okay, and I've given you multiple examples as well. It was a pleasure to host all of you. I'm sure you are able to get some value from the session. Okay, thank you guys. Bye and take care. You have been a great audience. Thank you. Take care. Bye.